Folks, you probably already know about the Iron Man Infinite. You probably know about the Magneto Infinite. But did you know about the Silver Samurai Infinite? It's not every day you see this character, but he does have a true infinite. Not too shabby, right? So today we're going to be doing a rundown talking about this largely forgotten X-Men character who is low-key a pretty cool character to try out in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So if you're an old school player who's nostalgic for the game, or if you're someone who's just been playing it since it's gotten rollback on Fightcade, either way, I'm going to be trying to explain to you why you should give Silver Samurai a try and show you some of the cool tricks that this guy's got up his sleeves. But before we get started, I just want to ask you guys, if you enjoy this type of content for these old school classic fighting games, please hit the video with a like if you don't mind. And if you like what you're seeing, you can hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And let me know down in the comments, what character would you like to see me overview next? But with that, let's jump right into Silver Samurai. Why is this guy actually a lot better than most people think? The commonly accepted wisdom, and it's kind of true, is that the number one thing that Silver Samurai has going for him is this super, the lightning super. So this super is good for a lot of reasons. The first one is that it's easy to combo into, and if you mash buttons, it actually does like a ton of damage. You can do like 50% nearly with one super. It's also really good at punishing assists, so a lot of invincible assists and stuff like that can be annoying to deal with, but if you just do this super when they call the assist, you're going to do a ton of damage to it. There's also a lot of assists that are kind of annoying to punish because they oftentimes end up behind you, so you can't really hit them that easily. But with this one, it's no problem. Just call in the lightning and it'll hit the assist while also, you know, sort of hitting the point character with lightning, so they can't come in and stop you from punishing the assist that well. So it's really, really amazing at beating assists. It's also completely 100% safe on block, so if they block it, they are not going to be able to punish you, and they're going to take a nice little bit of chip. That also means it's extremely good as a safe DHC. If your point character ever gets low on life, you can just do a super and then instantly delayed hyper combo into Silver Samurai. That'll put your first character into the back of the line where they can recover their health, and Silver Samurai will come in and be completely safe. It's also just a good DHC in general. If you do your first character super, then bring in Silver Samurai for his super, it's just going to do a lot of damage. It really adds up quickly. So this is really just one of the best supers in the game, especially if you don't factor in the really broken top tier characters. Silver Samurai's super is a real problem for a lot of characters to deal with. But that's not his only super. Silver Samurai actually has more supers than any other character in the game. He has one other one that's pretty good, which I think is this one where he throws all the shurikens. You can see the amount of chip damage this does is just ridiculous. So if they block this, it's going to kill them from a decent amount of health. It does like 8% on block. He's got his Team Hyper Combo super. I talked about this in my Marvel 2 Easter eggs video. The only way to do that super is as a Team Hyper Combo, so to get it to come out without bringing in your other characters, you have to just have one meter or have Silver Samurai be your only character. But yeah, that super is pretty decent as well. Nice little combo tool, does a decent amount of damage. But now let's talk about his other supers, and I know some people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but I'm sorry, it's the truth. His power-up supers are kind of bad, and I would generally recommend you don't use them, but they're kind of interesting, so let's talk them a little bit. He's got the lightning power-up, so this speeds up his attacks. And this also lets him do air super, which he can't normally do, so that's kind of cool. It changes the properties of his projectiles. By the way, you can stack any of these supers by doing the same motion again. You can spend another meter to stack it. You can see the timer is draining down. So this is one of the first problems with these power-ups, is they just don't last that long. Spending a whole meter just to get like this timer is generally not worth it. But there's one much bigger problem. Probably the main reason why you're not going to use this lightning power up is it actually makes him take more damage. So watch how much damage this Ruby Heart super does normally. Okay, it hit him to about here at the beginning of the R in his name. Now let's power him up with some lightning and now see how much he takes. Kind of significantly more. He actually takes nearly 20% extra damage by going into lightning power up, and if you go into fire power up, he takes 40% extra damage. So you'll see how much more this does when he goes into the fire mode. You can stack the power-ups. He takes gradually less and less damage the more levels you stack. Once you have 3 stacks, he goes back to his normal HP if you stack up 3 lightnings or 3 fires. But really, is it worth it spending 3 meters just so that you don't die to get some very minor buffs? When he's in fire mode, in addition to taking 40% extra damage, he also gains chip damage on his normals, so that's kind of cool. You can pretend to be Sentinel a little bit, and his combos start to do more damage. You can see this did damage up to the B here when he's in fire. When he's out of fire, it did it up to the H. So yes, you're trading damage on yourself for damage on the opponent, but really, in my opinion, it is simply not worth it. Plus, when you're in fire mode, you get a different super. Instead of your lightning super, you get this upward super that is really just a lot worse. It's a major downgrade to the character to not have access to the lightning super. So generally, I would say you should never, ever, ever use the fire one. You lose your best super, you take 40% extra damage. It's not worth it. The lightning one is largely not worth it either. Yes, it does make him faster and it buffs his projectiles, so there is some decent upside, but for 1 meter, I just don't think it's worth it, but it's definitely not as bad as the fire one. But he does have a third power-up that is by far the most useful one, and that is going to be his ice power-up. So the ice power-up, again, it has this major issue that you can't use the lightning super. You get this really slow super where he has to jump to the center of the screen before freezing the opponent. It's a lot easier to avoid than the lightning, and it comes out so much slower. So that is the main downside of using the ice super, but it has some good upside as well. So the first upside is you actually take less damage when you're in ice mode. Thank God. So again, here's how much this Ruby Heart super is gonna do. Normally, it hits him to the first part of the R here, but if he uses ice power up, there you go. It's like to the V. So you actually, I believe it's about 40% extra HP if you calculate it. So he takes about 40% less damage when he's in ice. So that's pretty good. He also gains a little bit of armor. So you can see at 1 level of ice, he kind of has like this pseudo armor where he can absorb a couple hits, but eventually he will start to get hit normally. But if you go up to 3 levels of ice, now you have full-on hyper armor. You can't be hit by anything at all. It's kind of like Colossus or Iron Zangief. You will just completely go through everything. So this is pretty useful. Yes, 3 meters is a huge ask. 3 meters is actually insane for an effect like this when Colossus can get it for 1 meter. But it is kind of useful. So I'm not going to say that you should never ever use the Ice Super. The Ice Super has some application, especially in sort of one-on-one scenarios. Having full-on hyper armor can be really, really hard to deal with, but it really is a big downside, losing his best super. So definitely use that power-up sparingly, and I would say use the other power-ups probably never at all. So that's why he has all these supers, because a lot of them are just crappy power-ups that you shouldn't use, but it is kind of fun. It is kind of fun to use these on people, but it's not the best way to win. Now, we got 2 more things to talk about that make him a good character. One is going to be instant overhead. So he has a very strong instant overhead. So this means that if the opponent is crouch blocking, you can hit them on the way up, and you can use assists to combo off this very easily. And the other nice thing about this is that his jumping heavy punch does not cause a fly screen. So a fly screen is when you finish an air combo and you can see your opponent has to run in from off screen. So this really limits the kind of pressure that you can apply, because your character is going to get there so late, you're not going to have time to start mixing the opponent up before they get up. But certain characters, for whatever reason, do not trigger fly screen, so I just end up right next to her. So you can do this kind of vortex where, you know, you knock them down, instant overhead to hit them high, knock them down again, go low this time, and you can just loop it pretty much until they're dead, and it's pretty hard to block. He can also kind of decide what side he wants to land on, front or back, so it can become very, very hard to block this type of setup. So that's another big offensive advantage that Silver Samurai has. And of course, last but not least, we got to talk about the infinite that I clickbaited you all with. He does have a true infinite, It's corner only, but it is very real. I first saw this from Justin Wong. I don't know if he was the very first person to pull this infinite off, but he's at least the first one that I saw. So I'll explain to you the basic idea here. So Silver Samurai's standing heavy punch works in a very bizarre way. You can see if I standing heavy punch and then I try to do light punch. Do you see how long it takes before the light punch comes out? I'm just mashing it here, but do you see how long it takes? But for some reason, he can cancel the recovery of standing heavy punch by crouching. I don't know of any other character in this game that works this way, but he can cut off the recovery, and so you can see I can jab afterwards much faster if I crouch first. This also gives him the ability to spam standing heavy punch to build meter quickly, so that's kind of a nice thing he has as well. But the infinite is going to work like this. You're going to do standing heavy punch, crouch, plus dash, okay? So you can see you can do standing heavy punch and then crouch plus dash, and then you'll quickly dash after pressing standing heavy punch. Then after the dash, we're just gonna do standing light kick, standing heavy punch, and then it loops. So it's gonna look like this: standing heavy punch, dash, standing light kick, standing heavy punch. And then you just do it really fast. See, it's not so bad. It's doable. And this is not generally going to do enough damage to kill the opponent in one combo. So because this game has an infinite prevention system called Undizzy, the opponent will pop out at a certain point, and generally you're not going to be able to do 100% with just this infinite. But what you can do is rack up a ton of damage using the infinite. Just get a bunch of reps in, and then end it with super. And you're going to do an absolute grip of damage that way, and then you have the freedom to DHC or whatever. So he can get 100% in a lot of situations using DHC and using the right assist. So this infinite is definitely not something to be scoffed at. It actually is a really powerful tool if you have the execution to reliably do it in a match. It's not the hardest infinite. I would say it's a lot easier than Magneto Infinite, but it's harder than maybe something like Iron Man Infinite because you do have to be pretty precise with your 2-button dashing. But with that out of the way, I think we've covered a lot of what makes this character good. So now I'm going to show you guys some match footage where you can see him in action and hopefully get an idea of why I've been enjoying the character so much. So let me know. Do you like this guy? Have you played him before? Are you going to give him a try now? Make sure to check out Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Fightcade. That is the best way to play it right now online. Fightcade.com is where you can download that, and I made a video tutorial that you can check up there. But with that, let's go to the gameplay. Hope you enjoy, guys. Thanks for watching. Yo, can we kill here? Basically. Oh, I wanted it so bad. You guys have no idea. Oh, the execution. What if, though? One problem with this matchup is Silver Samurai's anti-air is so bad. Right as I say that, though, we get a clutch anti-air. Feels good. Alright, let's go, bro. Wow. Holy crap. Oh, nice. Now he has glitched Akuma, guys. Do you think if I start spreading that rumor, people will believe it? It's like Oni is banned. I was hoping to hit an assist with that. Well, oh, it worked! It worked! Oh no! It's fine. Woo! There's the mix. I remember when I was a kid, I had Tips and Tricks magazine, and they had a screenshot of Marvel 2 where Servbot was giant. It was like the Servbot like Powerup super where he bangs you with the hammer. I was like, that is the coolest looking fighting game I've ever seen. I must play it. And then I never played it for like 10 years because I never had a Dreamcast. That is actually like an incredibly cool combo. Using the trombone assist and everything. Show. Gotta watch those toes though. See ya. Okay, let's go samurai. What? Are we counting that? Are we counting that? I don't know how I dropped it at the end. Ooh! And then we got the throw kill. Feels good. I'm developing. I'm learning.